If you're terrified of the metaverse, you're not alone. There's countless videos on YouTube racking up millions of views arguing that the metaverse is an evil corporate conspiracy, one that intends to get you hooked on increasingly immersive and addictive experiences at the cost of neglecting your real life. And while there is some truth in that, there are much worse things than companies making money off your attention span that we need to talk about. The real dark side of the metaverse is already here, if you know where to look. We're going to the dark corners of the emerging metaverse to uncover exactly how it's bringing out the worst of humanity, and what we can do to keep this from becoming our dystopian future. The metaverse is becoming our real world. Kids spend more time playing Roblox than basketball and football combined. So what exactly is going on inside these virtual worlds like Roblox? It turns out, kids are doing everything that they would in real life, which is playing make-believe and pretending to be adults. Roblox has games that simulate everything from taking care of pets and babies, getting jobs, to driving cars. The circle of what's socially acceptable to do online is continually expanding. People have already started working together virtually, going to school on Zooms, and meeting up with friends at concerts online. You could shop for digital clothes in a virtual mall, and you could do virtual skydiving. During the pandemic, engaged couples even started having virtual weddings given the travel restrictions. And there are some very real-world stakes here. In the first quarter of 2021, 42 million people logged into Roblox every day, spending nearly 10 billion hours playing the game. These people spent $652 million on the site's virtual currency Robux to buy virtual dollars, weapons, and other objects like hot air balloons for their characters. Someone even sold a digital Gucci bag for $4,100, which is more than the bag cost in real life. Anybody with the ability and talent can design the next virtual world experience and sell access for money. And for digital artists, now you don't have to personally know an art collector or museum curator who have to create a physical exhibit for you to find buyers and sell your paintings. Now you can do it for free online. If you're a writer or a storyteller, you can ply your craft from anywhere in the world. You could be a 13-year-old teenager under the rule of the Taliban in the Middle East, with zero chance of getting a manuscript in front of a publisher like Penguin. And yet, you could author your own captivating experience within the metaverse and make millions. There's an incredible leveling of the playing field that's happening here. Imagine a world with no gatekeepers. We've already seen this happening with social platforms like TikTok, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube. Now, platforms have given power to new creators who often target underserved communities, like minorities who got shunned from the big screen. PewDiePie or Nigahiga would have never been greenlit by a studio. And the metaverse takes this democratization of media to a completely different scale. Even governments and municipalities who design public spaces for people to hang out are now being displaced by the likes of Amon Runger, who designed the next generation town square. That's the incredible promise that Roblox creators envisioned. A vast and ever-changing digital playground where the next generation has the power to craft whatever they desire, unencumbered by gatekeepers. But there's a dark side to this power. LinkedIn founder Reid Hoffman famously said social networks do best when they tap into one of the 7 deadly sins. Zynga is sloth, LinkedIn is greed, Facebook, vanity. And the same can be said about the metaverse. But within the metaverse, there's an even greater potential to amplify the worst of humanity's sins. Let's start off easy. Roblox markets itself to parents as a safe place for kids. So naturally, Roblox and other virtual worlds have sophisticated profanity filters. But if kids want to swear, they'll damn well find a way. There's all sorts of viral videos online of people who figured out how to get around the system. And of course, when they do it, they love to make a good show out of it. Even if companies like Roblox could design a foolproof system, this isn't a simple problem. While they're hanging out in Fortnite or Roblox, most teenagers are actually talking to each other in Discord. The seemingly simple challenge of handling profanity in the metaverse shows how you actually need a systems-level solution for coordinating across all the layers of the metaverse. Roblox also enforces strict in-game rules such as no cyberbullying and harassment, no discrimination or overly violent behavior, and no looking for dates or engaging in sexual behavior. You can imagine this is a particularly sensitive thing for Roblox, given the vast majority of its players are under 18. Players under 13 are prohibited from receiving direct messages from other users, although Roblox doesn't actually verify age. Roblox enforces all these rules with the help of AI that monitors chats and player activity, as well as an army of 1,600 human content moderators, online 24/7. Law enforcement agencies have actually called the company's approach the gold standard for child safety. But make no mistake, Roblox is secretly waging an underground battle against digital sex parties called condo games. If you poke around the dark corners of Roblox enough, you might find yourself in the red light district of Roblox. The game environments here resemble condo buildings with living rooms, kitchens, backyards, and pools. But inside these rooms, naked Roblox characters twerk and grope each other with impunity. Or even worse, inside basement sex dungeons. To be clear, a lot of these games look a lot more ridiculous than erotic. The characters all look like Legos, and you can barely make out what they're trying to do when they're twerking on stripper poles. Judging by responses, most Roblox players find these condo games gross. But there is a small group of users that find this liberating, kind of like getting drunk and having flings with people at a high school party when someone else's parents are out of town. The difference online, though, is you don't always know who you're partying with. It's a world where kids act like adults, and adults could pose as kids without any parental oversight. And meanwhile, the landlords of Roblox, who know exactly what's going on, are trying the best they can to stop it, but it's not that easy. Despite Roblox's sophistication, players have figured out how to hack and exploit Roblox's engine to show explicit content and manipulate the game in unintended ways. It's as easy as creating a bunch of burner Roblox accounts, using a VPN to mask traffic, and uploading game after game from these burner accounts. You could pay someone on Discord about 1,000 Robux or $10 for the complete code to a condo game, which allows you to replicate and tweak it each time just enough to get around Roblox's content moderation engine. There is a risk though that Roblox can hardware block devices. And so Roblox is in this never-ending cycle of whack-a-mole with these condo games. As soon as a condo game goes live, it often gets shut down within a matter of hours. But in its place, 2 other identical games get started. Just like in real life, the police shut down these noisy parties, but kids have a great nose for finding the next hot party just down the block. And again, here Roblox is undone by other platforms like YouTube and Discord. There are hundreds of Discord channels dedicated to posting new condo game links that are uploaded just as fast as Roblox can shut them down. Reddit's gamer groups also host tons of threads on these condo games. YouTube even has tons of videos that explain how to find these condo games. For all of its sophisticated policing, Roblox's jurisdiction doesn't extend beyond its own territory. As with a lot of real-life communities, condo operators are largely kids and teens trying to keep suspicious people off of their Discord games. Operators often create their own custom in-game filters that create alerts whenever players say they're under 13, or offer to share nude photos, or want to take things offline to snap. One condo owner even invited suspicious users to voice chat to hear whether they sounded of age. But not all condo operators use this level of discretion. One interviewed by Fast Company even admitted that "I just don't care." And another even disturbingly admitted to proactively soliciting underage photos. And it's not just potential sexual abuse. Kids and teens are also prone to being indoctrinated into extremist organizations in the metaverse. There's a bunch of militaristic roleplays in Roblox that range from being soldiers in the Vietnam War to role-playing Nazis during World War II. In one of these games, you teleport into a German village where players play capture the flag with guns in SS uniforms. The leader and operator of the game calls himself the Führer. These groups often mirror real-life rigid military hierarchies. In one especially twisted game, players explore a virtual concentration camp, including a gas chamber where they can click a button to release deadly gas from shower heads. And there's even piles of dead avatar bodies. Other games institutionalize class systems where players have different social status, just like you might find in a real-life fascist state. There's also a violent Roman reenactment with players posing as troops. It's a very specific hierarchy of slaves, commoners, foreigners, servants, legionnaires, commanders, and senators. The leader took the title of Your Caesar, and at the height of the game's popularity, it had roughly 200,000 players. And this isn't just a Roblox-specific problem. The Center for Countering Digital Hate found that minors using Facebook's VR chat are exposed to graphic sexual content, racial slurs, or threats of violence every 7 minutes. The CEO of this organization went as far as saying that the metaverse is a haven for hate, pornography, and child grooming that connects users not just to each other, but to an array of predators. To be clear, it's pretty unlikely today that these video games are radicalizing people in any large scale for things like terrorist organizations. But experts have suggested that video games could be an effective way to recruit for extremist organizations because there's a big loneliness issue in the gaming community. When people are desperate, they're just naturally more open to believing in a more promising but fabricated alternative reality. And that leaves people open to potentially being manipulated on a mass scale. That's part of what the metaverse could take to the next level if left unchecked. And this is a problem that's getting worse for the younger generation due to the isolating effects of social media. In fact, Gen Z has been called the loneliest generation. And research would back that up. 61% of Gen Z reported feeling lonely in surveys in 2019. Gen Z might be turning to the metaverse to adapt to their increasingly bleak real-life circumstance. That creates the condition for young, impressionable kids to be manipulated online. Maybe the metaverse is a tool for people to start disastrous movements. We've already seen Facebook and other social media platforms abused to sow rebellion in our nation's capital, and fuel ethnic violence internationally in Ethiopia, and even help facilitate genocide in Myanmar. These platforms don't intend for their products to fuel such atrocities, but they have been coy about exactly how much potential there is to spread misinformation and stoke rebellion. And the metaverse has the potential to take this to the next terrifying level, as companies like Facebook invest billions into even more immersive technology, blurring the lines between our digital and real lives. These tools become increasingly potent for good or for evil. In fact, VR is already being used to treat trauma patients, showing that the technology can have lasting psychological positive impact in real life. Imagine that kind of power, but abused in the hands of online bullies. It's one thing to shame someone with 180 characters on Twitter, and another thing entirely doing this in VR where your brain has tricked you into thinking you're really there. Now imagine what can be done using this level of realism with state-sponsored propaganda or brainwashing efforts at massive scale. So while most of the world is worried about how addictive the metaverse is going to be, or data privacy, or scams in the metaverse, that's not actually what we should be worried about at all. If we do any one thing first, we have to make sure the metaverse is a safe place, especially for the most vulnerable people who are flocking to the metaverse first, kids. We may be fans of the fantastic virtual worlds like the Oasis and Ready Player One, but if you read the original literature, the world in those books is actually a pretty horrible place. And if we don't get ahead of this problem, that dystopian fiction may become our reality for us and future generations. Whether the metaverse is a force for good or evil is a huge open question. At the end of the day, I think it's neither inherently good or bad, but just another tool in our hands. And just like in real life, there'll inevitably be abuses of power, underage content, and extreme violence. But I personally believe that we have the power to nudge people to one side or the other. And in my opinion, institutional design is maybe the greatest force for good or evil, just as it is with real life. All you have to do is look at the natural experiment of South Korea versus North Korea to understand how people from the same ethnicity and culture could behave very differently under two different sets of institutions, one democratic and the other a dictatorship. And I believe the same is going to be true of the metaverse. Without the right controls to prevent extremist groups from reaching impressionable kids, could we see the metaverse devolve into a North Korea-style dictatorship? What's scary is that today, power in the metaverse resides in the hands of a few people, like Mark Zuckerberg, who has sole discretion over what Facebook does as the owner of the supermajority of voting shares. Remember how we talked about this vision of the metaverse being a place with no gatekeepers? Maybe people like Mark Zuckerberg are becoming the new gatekeepers. And it's a scary thought to think that maybe the new gatekeepers are fewer and worse than the ones that we have in real life. What is our real-life government doing about it? Thankfully, Congress is at least pushing the government to do a better job of safeguarding kids online. In March, 2 senators introduced Earn It, a bill that would increase the liability tech companies face for having child abuse images. It may be foolish to only rely on the government though. Historically, regulators have taken a follower approach to innovation. Entrepreneurs ideate and build something, and then the regulators figure out the guardrails later. But with technology as immersive and powerful as the metaverse, the stakes are even higher, and we may need to get ahead of the issues we already know will be a problem. And there are some companies that are actually working towards a safer metaverse. ClassDojo, a company I invested in at Signalfire, is building an alternative digital classroom and playground for children who are connected in real life already as part of an existing school social graph. Here, there's still the infinite possibility of world building, but everyone knows who everyone else is. There's no risk of outsiders infiltrating, and a teacher moderator keeps kids' behavior in check. These companies and others that actually verify identity may be the safer future for the metaverse. Just like the metaverse has the potential for great abuse, it also has the enormous potential to change our lives for the better. If we can successfully navigate the social, technological, and political complexity and avoid a dystopia where greedy gatekeepers dictate the rules, the metaverse could unlock a parallel digital realm where everyone gets a second chance to do and be what they always dreamed of.